Just to start out, congratulations, Karen, 86, 87 basketball team, and Coach Graffam as well, all of which I watched. Karen played for Coach Graffam, watched the basketball team as well. It's truly an honor for me to be up here with Coach Bailey tonight, inducting one of our softball greats into the 2012 St. Joseph's College Hall of Fame. When I was asked to speak on Lisa's behalf, I started digging through the record books, as most coaches probably do, and the one thing that immediately jumped out at me wasn't stat related. So I dug a little bit more. Corey does a great job here with our old record books, and I realized that Lisa is the only athlete in St. Joseph's College history covering every sport that played for 4 different coaches in 4 years. It would have been Angela Paolini as well, but Ange got hurt. Unfortunately, her senior year didn't play. 1995 for Dick Bailey, 96 for Rick Simons, 97 for Kurt Smythe, my brother, and 98 she played for me. That criteria by itself should qualify you for an automatic exemption into the Hall of Fame, in my opinion, especially when 2 of the coaches are Rick Simons and Dick Bailey. Lisa primarily played first base for the Monks, but she could have played anywhere, and she did. She was a great defender, a clutch hitter, and one of the most feared players in our conference during her 4-year career. Lisa never said the words I or me. In fact, Lisa never really said much of anything. One of the quietest players that I've ever coached. One of the things that she did mention to me, however, was that she pitched in high school, and if there was ever a day that we needed her, she would be ready. Well, that day came her senior year down in Virginia Beach. It was on the southern trip, and we were towards the tail end of the trip, and we had run out of pitching. One of our pitchers got hurt, and so we put in Lisa. And a third of an inning and 5 walks later, that was the end of Lisa's pitching career at St. Joe's. The softball team was 127 and 47 in her 4 years at St. Joseph's College, including 1 trip to the NAIA National Tournament. Just a few numbers in terms of Lisa's career. She stands in the all-time record book at 2nd in games played, 3rd in at-bats, 4th in runs, 3rd in hits, and 2nd all-time in doubles, triples, and RBI. She was an all-conference player in 1995 as a freshman, and in 1997. She put together one of the best freshman years ever at St. Joe's, batting .393 with 14 doubles, 7 triples, 37 RBI, and 52 runs scored that year, which still stands as a single-season record. After numbers like that, the only thing more certain than Lisa being in the Hall of Fame is that at some point in time, Rick Simons will try to take credit for all of her success. Before we finalize the induction, I would like to turn the microphone over to Hall of Famer Dick Bailey, who recruited Lisa from Apponequet High School, for a few words. Coach?
I wrote my speech out here. I want to digress just for a few seconds because November 10th is the Marine Corps birthday, and I just want to wish all my Marine friends happy birthday. We're 237 years old. And as importantly, tomorrow's Veterans Day, and all of you probably know veterans or are veterans and everything else, and I just want to mention Jimmy Graffam, who's an old vet, along with Rick Simons. I don't think Rick got out of the kitchen, I was a cook. Wow, Lisa Pichaske is one of these success stories. She doesn't know this, but I spent a lot of money on deterioration of cars and gasoline driving down to Apponequet to recruit her. I don't know how many trips I made down there, but everyone was very worthwhile. She was one of the most successful ball players this college has ever seen. One little story about her, because I've always been the type of coach, Jamie tells everything nice about players. Well, I get around and tell you the things that maybe aren't so nice. Lisa was a hell of a player, offense and defense, but one thing she didn't like the changeup. She didn't like pitches throwing changes. Well, I kind of left her abruptly, and I ended up at Kobe. And we're playing one day, and I always sat right down at the end of the dugout so I could tell my pitchers what pitches I wanted to throw and watch the catcher. And Lisa's in the batter's box. Well, I'm calling changes after changes after changes. She's standing there, she's looking, all of a sudden she turns around and she looks over the dugout and she smiles. She knew what I was doing. She didn't like it, and I was going to keep throwing it. They still beat us, but I wanted to know that I knew her well. I guess the big regret I have is that I wasn't able to coach her for 4 years. Things happen in life where you have no control over, but not seeing someone like that play her 4 years as well as some of the other players was a loss to me. And I'm certainly glad you succeeded. You're more than deserving to be in the Hall of Fame, and welcome aboard.
Just to finish up, last night Coach Bailey and I had the pleasure of going out to dinner with Lisa and a good portion of her family. And I remember several times throughout the night, a lot of her relatives would say, you know, we're so thankful for Lisa, we're so proud of her for this. And it struck me that it's, you know, very important to the family as well. And Lisa, the Hall of Fame is reserved for the best of the best. And there are hundreds and hundreds of athletes who have played sports at St. Joseph's College, but very few reach the Hall of Fame. You have, and I think that I speak for all 4 coaches in saying that it was a pleasure to coach you, and that we are all so thankful and proud of you as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Lisa Pichaske, 2012 Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much. As like Karen said, it's very nerve-wracking. I would like to thank the committee and everyone who had a hand in choosing me for this honor. I feel very blessed and humbled, especially since this is St. Joe's centennial year. Receiving an award like this really makes you look back and reflect on your life and the sacrifices that it took to get here. The sacrifices I'm talking about aren't the ones that I made, but the ones that my parents made for me. If it wasn't for them, I would never have had these opportunities growing up. From the time I was 6 years old, when I started playing t-ball, until my last college game, my parents were always my biggest fans, support, encouragement, and still are. There was nothing they would not let me try to do if I asked. For example, when I was 12 years old, as Jamie mentioned, I decided I wanted to be a pitcher. And lucky for me, where I lived, we had Peter Looney, who was one of the best pitching coaches you would ever meet. So my mom signed me up for pitching lessons with him. It was $20 an hour, and in 1988, that was quite a lot of money. The sacrifice necessarily wasn't the $20 an hour, but I actually had to practice every single day for 1 hour. And if you didn't have anybody catch for you, my mother had to catch for me. Now, for those of you who know my mother, I didn't necessarily get my athletic softball ability from her. And quite honestly, I don't think she ever had put on a softball glove prior to that. When she had to catch for me, she didn't necessarily catch for me. I would pitch the ball, and she would run out of the way, and I would chase after the ball. I mean, it had a lot to do with the fact that she was scared of it, but I really wasn't a good pitcher. Mom, thank you for all that you've done for me, not just through sports, but through everything in life. When I was coming to St. Joe's, I really wanted to play basketball. I didn't even consider playing softball. Then one day, luckily for me, Coach Bailey saw a Pontiac next to my name, and he gave me a call. Pontiac was very well known in Massachusetts for softball at the time. After meeting with Coach, I decided I think softball might have been the better bet for me. Plus, it had a lot to do, like a lot less running. Unless, of course, you're rowdy very late one night in Virginia Beach, where we went to on spring break every year, and had to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go run on the beach on a very foggy day. Coach Bailey, if it wasn't for you, I would not be getting the support. I knew you were only my coach for 1 year, but it was the most influential year for me playing ball. The first thing you did when I came to school was completely change my batting stance, which at that time I thought you were absolutely nuts, but obviously you knew what you were talking about. The best advice you ever given me was just go with the pitch. That's pretty much why I had all the doubles and triples, because they all went to right field. I was a right-handed batter, they all went to right field. Coach Bailey, when I found out you were no longer going to be my coach my sophomore year at St. Joe's College, I was absolutely devastated. You were the reason why I came here. I really wanted to transfer to another school. My mother talked me out of it. Luckily, she did, because we actually went to the Nationals that year. We went to the Nationals. We didn't just go to Nationals. We won a game in the Nationals. And that was Coach Simon's head team on that one. It was very bittersweet, though, because you and Jamie, that was the team that you guys built, and you couldn't enjoy it with us. I thank you for that. One of my proudest moments was coming home after the Nationals, turning on ESPN, watching the team that actually won the Nationals scrimmaging the U.S. Olympic team. And that was the first time they ever had Olympic softball in the Olympics. It was just, it blew me away completely. Coach Bailey, thank you. You didn't just make me a better hitter, you made me a better person. Softball is a team sport, and if it wasn't for all the great teams and teammates I had, I would not have had the ability or the opportunity to be in the record books. You have to be able to have a lot of at-bats to break a lot of records. I would like to thank all my teammates for giving me these opportunities. Believe it or not, each year, which you guys already heard, but I had a different head coach every year. The only constant I ever had was Jamie Smythe, other than my sophomore year. Jamie was my assistant coach for 2 years, and then finally, he was named head coach my senior year, which was very well deserved. Jamie, now look who's right back at your side at St. Joe's. You have your co-coach, Dean Bailey. Sorry, not Dean anymore, Coach Bailey. It's kind of funny how things come full circle. Jamie, you're the one who taught me really how to play first base. The only advice I didn't listen to was you always tried to get me to use a first baseman's glove. I still have that glove I had when I was in high school and in college, and it works just fine. It's not a first baseman's glove. Coach Smythe, thank you very much for being so passionate about St. Joe's softball. I would like to thank all my friends and family and alumni for coming tonight. It really means a lot. Lastly, I would like to dedicate this award to 2 people who are no longer with us, my father, Ronald Pichaske, and my gram, Arlene Doyle. I know you're looking down on me right now, very proud with big smiles. Thank you very much again.